one, score, touchdowns. The middle, touchdown, Memphis. Throwing to the end zone, yes, touchdown.
Right in the heart of Dallas, Texas at Gerald J. Ford Stadium, the home of SMU football becomes the home of the First Responders Bowl between Memphis and Utah State on December 27th. Hello and welcome into the American Studios alongside ESPN college football analyst Rini Angolia and Taylor McCarg. I'm Morgan Uber. The last regular season game, guys, for Memphis, they were there at Ford Stadium, drop a 3-point game heartbreaker. Why, Taylor, do you expect this time to be different?
This game, for all of the games and the bowl games for these American teams, I think this bowl game means the most to this Memphis team. 6-6 last year, 6-6 again this year, an opportunity to get over the hump, get to a winning season. We've talked about some of the prep leading up to this game. I think it clearly means a lot to them, Rena.
It does, and it's just, and for Ryan Silverfield, right, the head coach, it just kind of teetered around 500, 6-6, getting no bowl game. They need a big bowl win, and they need something to really lift them and jolt them, give them that momentum for next season. And this is a bowl game that can do that for them.
They'll face the Mountain West Utah State, and it's a favorable matchup here for the Tigers. And after a win here in week 0 for Utah State, they lost 4 straight heading into the thick of conference play. The Aggies, though, put it together and won 5 of their next 6 to become bowl eligible and finish 3rd in the Mountain Division of the Mountain West Conference. And as for Memphis, we mentioned the 6-6 seasons. Well, it's 2 years straight of going 500. After starting 4-1, the Tigers dropped 4 straight to finish 8th in the American, the lowest among the conference's 7 bowl eligible teams. However, this is the 9th straight bowl game for Memphis, which is the longest active streak among all programs in the American. And as you take a look at the two teams head to head, it's clear that Memphis really has the edge. Look at the points per game, 35 to Utah State's 23. Total offense, Seth Hennigan leading things for the Tigers, 421 yards of total offense, and a scoring margin of plus 93 for the Tigers. For Memphis, though, it's been sort of a rough season. They had a rough patch, dropping 4 straight conference games. What can Coach Silverfield use as some of those teaching moments here to close out this bowl season and get a win?
Well, I think this game is really critical because for Memphis all year, they beat up on the teams that they were supposed to, but they lost to the teams that they were slight underdogs to. Houston was the biggest sort of turning point in the season in a negative way for them. You talk about the 4-game losing streak. That Houston loss led off that 4-game losing streak. They're up 2 scores with 1:30 left. They give up a score, onside kick score, and last second loss to Houston. I think that was the turning point in their season. For all the negative momentum that they felt really in the middle of the year, a win over a Utah State team that they should win against, I think that would be huge for their momentum.
No doubt. This is a game on paper. No doubt Memphis should win this game. Blake Anderson, the head coach of Utah State, a really good coach. First year there, long time at Arkansas State. So his kids are going to play hard. There's no doubt about it. But this is a game Memphis should win. Watching Memphis this season and really last season too, I talk about the up and down of their play. It's that lack of consistency. Like they look really good and they just can't keep that consistency going. So that's something Ryan Silverfield has to find with his group. And so they got to play well, get this bowl win, and then propel them for next season.
The only other thing that would be a concern on the other side is Utah State. You saw they won 5 out of their last 7 games. And they beat up on sort of the bottom of the Mountain West, but they beat the teams that they needed to get to 6 wins. And at the midpoint of the season, it did not look like this was going to be a Utah State team that got to a bowl game. They did just that. They now have the confidence, and they're going to probably come in playing free. Where they got to a 6-win mark, they're getting to play an extra game. And we talk a lot about motivation with these bowl game previews. That, to me, is going to be critical because Utah State's going to be ready to go on the other side.
And they're a physical bunch. There's no doubt about it. They're going to show up to play Utah State, and they're going to be very physical up front.
Well, one motivating factor for the Memphis Tigers quarterback, Seth Hennigan, he's a local Dallas, Texas native, played right here at Denton Ryan High School, going to have a lot of family and friends filling up the stands. He's going to be playing a Utah State defense that's in the bottom half of all defensive statistical categories in the Mountain West Conference. So, Taylor, what will he look to show against a struggling defense here in this one?
This should be a big game for Seth Hennigan. All the things that we have come to know. He had a big freshman year last year, right? We all expected him to take a big step forward. I think there were some things that limited his production this year that really he had no control over. Some of it had to do with moving around him, offensive line play, the defense as well. This is a really talented quarterback that Ryan Silverfield has talked about. We're making sure that we're hanging on to him. And in this day and age of NIL and transfer portal, you have to re-recruit some of your own kids, and that absolutely applies to the quarterback for Memphis.
When you think of the future of Memphis football, Seth Hennigan avoids that sophomore slump. He doubles his rushing yards from a season ago, showing more dual threat abilities. Rini, why does he fit that mold, the Memphis football mold that Ryan Silverfield's created?
He's got that mentality. He's a tough kid, and of course, the experience playing. It's hard to play as a true freshman. Now, people forget, the year before you're in high school, and then the next year, true freshman playing big-time college football. He did it. Gets to this sophomore year. When I look at Memphis, I just, they're good teams. And remember, this is a fan base, Memphis, they're used to winning. Okay, if you remember, 17, 18, and 19, 3 years in a row, Memphis went to the American Athletic Conference Championship. They won it in 19, went to a New Year's Six bowl game, played Penn State in the Cotton Bowl. So this is a program that knows how to win. So, I think it's frustrating for the fans. I know it's frustrating for Ryan Silverfield at 6'6", but when I think of those teams, you think of explosive scoring. You also think of running the football. They always had really good running backs that could really balance the offense. I think they've kind of lost that of late. So a roundabout way to your question for Seth Hennigan, if they can establish a running game next year to really help him out, it's going to open the field up for him.
For Memphis, for Coach Silverfield, he's winning with his recruiting classes. 3 straight years of having the best recruiting classes of all time in Memphis football history. Remarkable. 45th in the country for this 2023 class. So when you look ahead, what really needs to, you can recruit as well as you want, but when it comes to development, what does Coach Silverfield here have to do next season?
I think a win in this bowl game is impactful to hang on to those recruits, right? In this day and age, nothing is final until they sign that on that dotted line and they're coming to campus. And I think a good performance against this Utah State team, really important for recruiting and also for this fan base. Rena, you talk about sort of how this community and this fan base feels right now. It's not a lot of positivity, and they've been very loud about that. This Memphis is a fan base that has a lot of pride. They are not okay with 500 and limping into bowl games. And this win, especially if they can do it convincingly, would be a springboard to try and carry some momentum into the offseason.
And I mentioned it earlier. So, yes, get those recruits in there, get them signed, get them to stay, coach them up, and then it's the lack of consistency. You need to be more consistent with your play week in and week out. And then there's a lot that goes into it: practice, attention to detail, and Coach Silverfield knows he's going to get them going, but I think they're in the right direction.
The key overall next year, consistency. But Rini, the key for this game, what is it?
I think Seth Hennigan, having him there, the experience, I think the motivation factor, I think it is there. You talked about Memphis losing in this stadium last time out. Now they get a chance to end their season on a good note with a win. I like Memphis in this one.
Get on Utah State early.
Yeah.
If you get to halftime in this game and Utah State's within one score, or certainly if they have the lead and they feel like, hey, we can go beat this team, I think that's worst case scenario for Memphis. If Memphis can jump out to a couple score lead early in this game, make it feel like, no, we are the superior team, we have a chance to run away with this. I think that's critical in how they start this game.
Seth Hennigan wants that final pass back. The last time that he was in Ford Stadium, threw an interception to end that game and end their regular season 6-6. I've got the Tigers here in this one. He wants that one back. Rena, you made your pick. Taylor, who you got?
I like Memphis. I think top down, more talented bunch, and I think this means a lot to them, especially to this staff, to get to that 7th win.
Well, there you have it. You can see the Tigers of Memphis close out their season here under Coach Silverfield. They'll be facing the Mountain West Utah State back in Dallas, Texas, Tuesday, December 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN.